There we go, and we are off. Welcome back to the Hype Mind. I'm Bear, and Daniel's here again too. Aren't you all feeling special tonight? And we're talking about extremes, which could go in different number of ways, but particularly I'm thinking of them in the sense um, of having balance in your life. So hang in there because this is going to be a short one, and you're going to want to hear this. So when I think of extremes, a lot of times I think of habits, like for me, like smoking. Like I don't identify myself as a smoker, but I do smoke. Um, and I smoke in moderation. Maybe if I go out and hang out with friends, or if I have a occasion to celebrate, or maybe I get a day off and I'm going to make a great relaxing day out of it, I might kick back with a cigar. Um, and that's because just because I don't identify as a smoker doesn't mean I can't smoke at all, right? There's a balance to everything. Like I don't think smoking is necessarily good for people because I don't think smoke does great things for your lungs, which is an opinion. But like I said, I don't think I have to give it up entirely, right? Because a lot of people think just because smoking's bad for you doesn't mean you can smoke at all. And so that would be the extremes I'm really referring to today. That also could show up in alcohol consumption or working out or situations like that. A lot of times it's with habits. So that's the first thing that comes to mind.
Quite interesting. Looking at things in that way, and seeing them as either extremes or they could be happy mediums too, and saying, hey, it's okay to have that. You don't need to overindulge in this, but you can indulge a little bit.
Right.
It's interesting. Some part of me doesn't, I guess, agree with that, but some part of me says if that doesn't interfere with your mission in life, with your purposes, with your intentions, your core values, then what's the harm, right?
Well, and those are
And why
things you have
can't
to
you live
factor in.
a life of freedom where you can do things you want and not need to overindulge?
I mean, and that's a good point because like drinking is a good example. If drinking even one drink a couple times a week jeopardized me, maybe because I'm driving all the time. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh boy. Okay. Maybe because I'm driving all the time, then yeah, like I would go to the extreme of never drinking because obviously I don't want to drink and drive, right? So there's situations where you have to make the appropriate call and determine when an extreme is necessary. But a lot of times people will get caught up in that and they'll say, wait, I have to, I've been partying too much, so I need to stop drinking like forever. And you're like, no, you can still drink. You can it doesn't kill you to have a piece of cheesecake on your birthday. It's not like you have to give up sugar for the rest of your life if you're a diabetic. Um so the what I'm getting at personally is there's a balance. It depends on you personally to be able to figure that out for yourself. Maybe you do have to give stuff up completely. And I'm not advocating that everybody doesn't. But what I'm saying is a lot of times people take things too seriously. They're like, I'm not in shape, so I have to work out for the rest of my life every day. No, right? You just have to be more active a little bit. You just have to find ways to incorporate activity without doing it to such a point that it's an extreme and it becomes a crippling factor in your life. Like I don't think there's any harm done going out and socially drinking with your friends as long as you're not driving and you don't have something important to do later that night or the next morning.
Right.
And a lot of times people miss those extremes, and that's not just for, those are easy examples: working out, gym, smoking, drinking, right? But there's other things, your habits. Maybe you take cleaning too far and you are a neat freak. It's like you don't have to clean the house every time you clean the house. You can just wipe the counter up, you know. And so
Yeah.
being aware of yourself.
I'm a big advocate for extremes most of the time. because like if you do something, do it to the best of your ability, go above and beyond. I like being extreme. I think I could do it in a lot of areas. But in the scenario where, which I think you're talking about, where you feel like you need to do something to an extreme, like for example, just quit something cold turkey and stop. You might find yourself not being able to do it. You might find yourself failing. You try to
Right.
quit cold turkey for a week or two, and you don't have the stamina to continue. And so you fall back into it. When you usually fall back, you overindulge. It's not just whoops, I slipped a little bit. Let me get back on the track. It's like a complete flip off of the track. And you have to really pull yourself back together, clean up the big mess that you've caused, and get yourself back on the track. So, I mean, this is all about analyzing yourself, and
It is. Yeah.
you need to take it to an extreme. I think you can. I don't want you to have that limiting belief that you can't. I think you can if you really, really desire to, which is just creating a stronger desire to do it um, when you need
Well,
to do
and
it. But if
the
you find
message,
yourself falling off, what you need to fall back to is let me just do what I can. Let me do a little bit, take the first step, not worry about trying to cut cold turkey. But what can I do? Like, can I take out, let's say it's drinking, smoking? Can I like reduce this to one night a week? Or can I reduce this to one night every 2 weeks instead
right,
of let me, not do anything at all? I think sometimes thinking about doing the extreme can be overwhelming and doing anything. If you're achieving a big goal, you might think of task A, B, C, all these different things. And then you have to think about something you never did before that's going to be new to you. It could
it's
be so
overwhelming.
overwhelming. And what happens is it's so overwhelming that you never take action in the end. And what's the most important part is actually taking action. It's not the goal, it's taking action on the goal. So
Right,
don't get yourself so overwhelmed by thinking of the extreme to not take action at all. The extreme is good. Having that idea in your head is good, but don't get too overwhelmed by it and just take the first step. And that's what it starts with.
right. And I would see that as, what I would call that is not necessarily the extreme, but maximizing, that area in perfection, right? And sometimes that area in perfection can be maximized with a balance, right? And sometimes you do have to go to the extreme, if like drinking, if you can't cut back drinking to once a week, one drink with your friends socially without driving or without overindulging, then you might just have to completely cut it out, you know. Um, but like you're talking about, Daniel, if you're working on something and you can't, and it is overwhelming to perceive achieving something all at once, right? Then one, you can start in little steps. You can take those little bites at a time, do the little chipping at it, and find the the progressive area where you can actually go forward without falling backwards. Because let me tell you, if you've never worked out a day in your life, you're not going to work out 2 hours a day for 7 days a week for the next rest of your life. Your body's probably not going to be able to handle it. Maybe it could. There's all sorts of people out there. You might be the lucky one, but most people aren't able to keep consistency, which, like Daniel talked about, the action is important, and so is the consistency. Consistently taking action is also important.
And this reminds me of
So
something
it's
we talk about a lot, which is pushing
Well, and let me
your
finish this
edge and
thought,
living on your
because
edge
it's
just
not
enough.
that it's not that you can't go to the extreme. It's not that you can't completely eliminate something in your life. It's understanding that you don't always have to. Like I could completely eliminate alcohol in my life if I wanted, but I don't need to, because it's never been a danger for me. I know how to go out with my friends, have one drink, call it a night, not let it influence things I need to do later or the next day. So you can make an extreme if you want to, but don't let doing extremes become a crippling factor in your life. Believe that you can do that extreme, like you've been saying, Daniel. But also, if that's something that's overwhelming, then find the balance, because sometimes it's okay to have the balance and not do an extreme on something, depending on what it is
Yeah,
and depending on who you are.
absolutely. And this does go into what I was saying too, is about the edge. We talk about pushing your edge, living on your edge, not going too beyond it, but not
Right.
to your edge at all. So doing as much as you can so you maintain stamina so you can keep doing it and create a new, stronger habit in your life.
Right. Right. Well, and that's true. Like, yeah, I mean, like I said, I personally, alcohol is not a problem for me. So it's like, if someone told me, could you go for 5 years without alcohol? I'd be like, yes. Right. So it's like, that's not really where I'd push my edge, but like, if I needed to, could I do that extreme? Absolutely. So knowing you can conquer that area is important, but you don't always have to, as long as you can manage it responsibly while still focusing on that purpose, that area that you do need to continue to grow in. It's okay to not, focus on the wrong areas, perfecting the wrong areas, chasing things that aren't relevant, and aren't, the big goal. Like let me tell you, could you clean your house in one go? Absolutely. Is it going to benefit you on achieving the bigger goals that help you fulfill your God-given purpose in life? Well, in that case, I'd say stop getting caught up in cleaning your entire house. If you see something wrong, clean up the mess, wipe the toilet bowl, clean the counter, and then go back to what's really important. Don't get caught up in the fact that the rest of your house isn't perfect.
Mhm.
That's not the priority. Make sure you're focusing on the edge you need to move
That's good.
beyond.
Yeah.
Huh?
No, that's really good because that goes into living with intent. It's like,
Right.
what are you doing? And everything that doesn't take you off of your mission of what you're doing, how you're living, and what your purpose is, doesn't matter, right?
Right. And
You
that's
don't need to
what I'm getting
focus
at is
on like, achieving these great feats in some other area that's not about what you want to
not
achieve.
relevant.
Yeah,
Right.
what your main purpose and goals are. Yeah, that's like a side thing, a side hobby,
And
It doesn't
that's
have to be
really
your
what I'm
main
getting at
focus,
when I
and
say
that's what
drink.
can happen, and then you spread yourself out too thin sometimes.
Yep. Yep. Like, if drinking isn't a problem for you, then stop focusing on drinking. Have a drink when you can, and don't worry about becoming sober if you don't struggle with an alcohol problem to begin with. So, focus on what, like you said, living within intent, living with intent, you know, don't get caught up on pushing extremes on things that you already know you could do that aren't relevant to accomplishing that mission in life.
Beautifully said.
Balance the stuff out that's not as significant. Don't stress about little problems.
Alrighty.
That's
Anything else?
that's all I got.
Perfect.
Keep it short for you guys. We know you enjoyed this one, so check out the next one, and don't forget to subscribe because it's free.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.